You guys ask a lot of questions. Enjoy this Q&A.
Does a V-joint serve any purpose, or is this just tradition and aesthetic? What it does is it serves a purpose of attaching the head to the neck. A lot of times it's tradition, a lot of times it's for conserving material. If you take one piece and you cut one neck out of it, out of a board about yay thick, but you'll get two necks if you cut it out traditionally, which is a neck and a heel all in one. And then you also have the issue of you've got a head that's angled this way with the grain lines going this way, meaning you have a weak joint. So by doing a V joint, you're aligning the grain in this direction for the head, which is very strong, in addition to aligning the neck grain in this direction, which is also very strong. And you can get about 4 necks out of the same piece of wood opposed to 2. That was the original intention. Nowadays, it's kind of a look at me kind of thing. Is it tradition? Yes. Originally, that's how Baroque lutes and Baroque guitars were made, with a V-joint on the head, because material was very expensive back then. Not that it isn't expensive now, but more so. Nowadays, it's generally used on the higher end models, and we just made a bunch of V-necks here. It took about a week, and it's a very complex operation. But yeah, we still do it for our very top models. Is it better or worse than any other? No. Just if it's well fit, it'll never come apart. If it's poorly fit, it'll come apart. Okay, Erica W. Robbins. I like this question a lot. I like to experiment with different string tensions, and I always see disparate opinions about changing between high and low tensions. Does it inflict any stress on the guitar? Could different gauges adversely affect the nut and lead to issues like buzzing? Erica, I love that you're changing strings and trying out a whole bunch of stuff. There are more strings on the market than ever before, and there's always more coming out. I think that's awesome. Don't worry about it. The overall tension difference between the highest high tension from any manufacturer and the lowest low tension of any string manufacturer is less than 1% of overall tension strength. Changing between the so you're not going to do any damage. The high tension is not going to pull your guitar off. Let's put a little caveat. If you have a 664 or more scale guitar, you have to think of everything as being one tension step up. So like a medium tension is actually a high tension because you have so much string suspended and pulled to tension over that entire length. So keep that in mind with that caveat said. Or if you're under 640, then everything you have to basically step up a tension. So if you're using a medium, that's actually like a low tension. So if you want a medium tension feel, you actually have to go to a high tension. With those two exceptions of either the long scale or short scale, go ahead, try anything, everything. Unless you're using a set of bass guitar strings, the widths and differences in the nut are generally not going to be enough to cause any issues. Do yourself a favor though. If you are trying out a whole bunch of strings, keep a general journal of the strings that you are using, because those journal entries will give you a better idea of what you really, really like inside of a set of strings. If they're sparkly or dull, or if the trebles sing, or if the basses seem weak, or something like that. And eventually, you'll put on a set of strings and you go, oh my goodness, this is it. Or, I like the third string on this set. I like the fifth string on this one. I like I like the first. I like this on the second. And you can create your own custom set that fits your playing perfectly. And there are great companies out there that will sell you an individual string, so that way you can build your own set and have that unique sound to you. So please keep on trying this, and if you're not keeping records, go ahead and keep records, but keep going at it. Oh, keep going at it, and don't worry. There's no problem that from using any of the strings. Okay, syntax lost. Why don't you reinforce your necks with carbon or ebony like a lot of modern builders? Is there anything that can be done? Okay, this is 2 questions. Cheater. All right, so let's address the first one. Why don't I reinforce my necks with carbon or ebony? I don't need to. You don't need to. Makers generally don't need to, because I maintain my humidity at 50% relative humidity. And mahogany is plenty strong enough that it's not an issue. I have no problem with it. In fact, many of my early guitars were reinforced with ebony that was buried inside of the neck, generally offcuts from fingerboards. It's fine. You can. It's just an extra step. It's just an extra step that is more or less unneeded. It's okay. Now for carbon, I've actually noticed that I've been able to hear guitars that have a carbon D-rod inside of it, and actually carbon kind of has its own unique sound to it inside of guitars that you can hear. If it's a solid carbon rod, that's fine. That's overkill. They're expensive. You don't need it. The D-shaped rods that get inlaid into the neck of the guitar, I really don't like. Because it creates a void under the third and fourth string. And if you listen really carefully, you will notice that on guitars that have that carbon D-rod, that the sound quality of the third and fourth strings are very minimal compared to, say, the first and second and fifth and sixth, because you don't have that mass of material and that solid connection between everything that goes through the entire neck. So it's one of those things where I am an absolute purist of sound. I love a good sound. And by adding that carbon to it, you don't hear it. Or you lose out on it. And it's taking something that could have been really great and making it okay. As far as carbon inside of a guitar, I'm not a big fan. It's a lot more prone to sucking up humidity than wood is, and can take on a lot more humidity than wood can. So you actually have a larger swing in terms of the sound qualities of your guitars if they have carbon inside of them. So I'm not a big fan of it. It adds a variable, and playing music is hard enough that I don't want to add the extra variable of ambient air density to any player's playing. So don't use carbon, and I don't like to reinforce. It's an unnecessary step. From Andy, D0907. Are there any adjustments I've made in your have made in your building methods or techniques that facilitate easier repairs down the track? And that mass-produced instruments can be absolute nightmares. Yes, I have. One is I don't use synthetic materials. Period. I use hot hide glue, and this is 315 gram strength in granular form. I mix it up typically once a week. Two, I don't use synthetic finishes because those are like glass. Once you crack a synthetic finish, it's very hard to get it back into place without the use of chemicals. And because there's so many different finishes out in the world, as somebody who does repairs, I don't know all of them off the top of my head, and because there's more and more every day, I just stay away from that. And last but not least, I don't build double tops. I never will build a double top. I do not like double tops. And that's mostly from a repair standpoint, because most of them, as I say all the time, it's not if a glue joint fails, it's when a glue joint fails. And there are so many glue joints in a double top that I'm not willing to take a risk, and I can't get to it. So those are the things right off the bat. Other than that, just making sure that everything is put together, and that really eliminates... making sure that everything is put together well, and that really eliminates the necessity to worry about long-term repair. And that, for me, means making sure that my humidity is very close to 50% relative humidity, using hot hide glue, and well-aged wood. This wood, I know, was harvested in 1979 by my father and Robert Ruck. So I know exactly how old that wood is. All right, Gail Burgess. Is Catalpa any good for the back and sides? If you mean Catalpa as in black locust, it's okay. It's a very nice looking wood, and categorizing wood by sound is like categorizing chameleons by color, especially when you get into some of these North American domestic woods. When you pick it up and hold it at a nodal point of 22% of the overall length, and you tap it very gently, you can hear if it will ring or not. And I've heard some pieces of wood where it rings very close to Indian rosewood with that deep boom and a little bit of a high overtone. And I've heard some where it sounds like you're tapping on a cardboard box. So I'm not going to say generally yes, but if you find the right set, yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Thanks for watching this Q&A. Please leave your comments down below and your questions because I really do enjoy answering them. Please like, subscribe, share, whatever they ask you to do if you're still here at this point in time. I also appreciate some of the support that I've gotten on Patreon. It really helps out to make these videos, and it really helps me connect with you guys so that way we can make something even better. Have a good time. I'll see you next time.